Once upon a time, there was a little girl who liked to wear a cape with a red hat. Because of this, she was often called the Red Hat. One day, her mother asked her sick grandmother, who lived on the other side of the forest, to deliver her a delicious basket. The little Red Riding Hood happily began to travel through the woods with a basket full of snacks. Her mother warned her not to talk to strangers and stay on the road. But upon hearing this conversation, the sneaky wolf decided to cheat the little Red Riding Hood. The wolf approached the Red Riding Hood and asked where he was going. He naively revealed his destination. The wicked-intentioned wolf suggested taking a longer path with more flowers. Believing in the wolf, the Red Riding Hood followed his advice. The wolf took a shorter route to reach her grandmother's house, but first arrived, swallowed her, and dressed up in pajamas. When Red Riding Hood arrived at her grandmother's villa, she was surprised by the strange appearance of a person who thought she was Grandma. The wolf, who was hiding in the bed, tricked the Red Hat into coming up. Eventually, he identified himself and ate her, too. Then, a hunter passing by hears a commotion and cuts off the wolf's stomach, jumping to save the Red Hat and her grandmother. This story contains a lesson that talking to strangers is dangerous, and it is important to follow your parents' advice. In a coastal village in Denmark, a little prince is caught up in a betrayal plot, wrecked and trapped in the water. His body is invisible, but his soul is in an underwater kingdom ruled by the king of the sea. The king of the sea orders his mermaid daughter to protect the prince. The mermaid falls in love with the prince, but cannot rise to the surface because she does not have a fish tail. Wanting to experience the human world, she has a fateful deal with a sea witch. In return for her voice, the mermaid receives human legs, but every step she takes feels like she is walking on a sharp knife. When the mermaid reaches the surface, she finds the prince and quietly devotes herself to him. Unfortunately, the prince is unaware of her sacrifice and marries another woman. A heartbroken mermaid is faced with a choice whether to bubble back into the ocean or kill the prince with a magic knife and drop his blood at her feet to get a new life. As the last act of altruism, the mermaid chooses not to hurt the prince. As dawn breaks, she transforms into a bubble, but her pure soul ascends to the sky. The story is one of Hans Christian Andersen's most immortal stories, exploring themes of unrequited love, sacrifice, and the result of choice. A mother duck living on a pond was holding eggs. From the mother duck's eggs, there were one baby duck, but there were also baby ducks with different appearances. The duckling is bullied by the ducks that lived around him. Other ducks laugh at the duckling's ugly appearance, and even pigs and chickens that live on farms. To avoid bullying from the ducks that lived around them, the baby duck leaves the pond and wanders around in several places. On the beach as the waves were going down, I heard a small bugle. Following the sound, Ugly Duckling was standing by the water, but this time, his wings were beautifully spread out. Surprised by his change, the Ugly Duckling looked around. Why are their wings so big? The Ugly Duckling wondered. Then a small star fell from the sky. The star said, "You ugly duckling, the beauty you were looking for was in me. The moment you found yourself and spread your wings, your true beauty was revealed." The Ugly Duckling thanked the star in tears. And flying in the sky, he told his story to other animals. As a result, everyone found their beauty and started living with respect for each other. A long time ago, there lived a girl named Rapunzel somewhere. Rapunzel had long blonde hair and a magical power. But she was stuck in a big tower somewhere nobody knew. The tower was made up of only one tall wall and a big door. Rapunzel used to spend time singing songs every day in the tower. One day, the prince visited her after listening to her song. But the only way to enter the tower was Rapunzel's long hair. The prince started their story when Rapunzel was able to descend from the tower using his hair. Rapunzel and the prince shared a special moment because they had a crush on each other. Then Rapunzel let the prince know her secret. When the wizard realized their love, he banished Rapunzel out of the tower. Rapunzel headed to the desert, not knowing what was to be a child. But fate brought something amazing. A few years later, the prince arrived in the desert in search of Rapunzel. Rapunzel still had magical hair, and with her magic, the prince could heal his injured eyes. After that, Rapunzel and the prince lived happy lives together again. Like this, Rapunzel captured the hearts of children with stories of magic, adventure, and love. In this fairy tale, there is a beautiful lesson that a brave and pure heart can overcome difficult situations, and true love can heal everything. On a winter night, the little girl goes out to the market to make money by selling matches from her poor home. But despite the cold weather, few people were able to buy matches. She decided to have the last match, hungry and shivering in the cold. The match lights allow the girl to see various imaginary landscapes under a warm light. And it seemed like she was having happy moments with her beloved grandmother in them. But whenever the match lights went out, she returned to reality and was left alone in the cold night. Finally, the girl finished lighting all the matches, and the angels came down to pick up her soul. At that moment, the girl's face was full of peace, and her body, lying in the cold distance, seemed not to suffer anymore. The fairy tale tells a touching story of a warm heart and sacrifice of human beings through the story of a girl who tries to live purely in poverty and difficulties. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a globally beloved fairy tale with rich imagination and beautiful lessons. The story is about the mysterious adventures of a beautiful Snow White and the unique and pleasant seven dwarfs, which have been loved for generations. Once upon a time, there lived a beautiful princess in a village. But there was a queen who admired the beauty of the princess the most in the world. She used to ask the magic mirror that she had erected every day, "Mirror, who is the most beautiful in the world?" And one day, the mirror replies that there is a more beautiful snow princess. The queen is obsessed with jealousy and anger and tries to kill Snow, but she leaves the castle and heads for the forest to avoid her fate. In the forest, Snow Princess meets the seven dwarfs. Each dwarf has its own unique name and personality. During their time together, the seven dwarfs teach Snow Princess love, warmth, and courage. Snow Princess is also moved by the seven dwarfs' good hearts and lives helping each other. However, when the queen learns that Snow White is alive, she tries to continue searching for her and harming her. Fighting against evil plans, Snow White and the seven dwarfs achieve victory in courage and justice, and finally find a happy life. Through this story, we can learn how important the beauty of the heart is as well as the appearance. It also has a message that courage and good behavior can win against any difficulty. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs remains a precious story that teaches children the importance of breakaway power and cooperation, while enriching their imaginations at the same time.